The first question I would like to ask, and it's kind of a two-part question. It's one, first of all, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? And second, and equally as important, is why do you want the job? And with that, why don't we budget 4 minutes per each and combine those two questions together.
Great.
Nikki?
Hi, my name is Nikki Gill. I grew up here in Jackson. I'm from a 5th generation Jackson ranching family. I currently work on the cattle ranch that my great-grandfather started in 1928. I work for my dad, Robert Gill. In the spring of 2015, I spearheaded our local beef operation by starting a community-supported agriculture program from our ranch. We now sell to restaurants in town as well as a new butcher shop opening called Sweet Cheeks Meats. My experience growing up as a multi-generational local has provided me with a more intimate knowledge and understanding of many of the issues that our community has faced in the past. The historical knowledge gives me a unique perspective and will allow me to make more informed and educated decisions regarding Jackson's future. My family has seen Jackson evolve from a quiet ranching community to a thriving tourist town. Through this evolution, one thing has remained constant, and that's the sense of community here in Jackson. Most people come to Jackson because of our world-class skiing, fly fishing, hiking, etc., but they stay because of the sense of community. People in this valley take care of each other and rally for one another in times of hardship. I'm running because I believe that we're at a critical point right now in Jackson, and if we don't start taking care of our middle class, working families, and small businesses, we'll start to lose what makes Jackson so special. I'm running because also my generation is one of the least represented in local government, yet we're some of the most impacted by our current housing crisis. I think that my generation needs someone to speak for them, who better understands their needs and is willing to advocate for them. I think if we don't start taking action soon, we will force an entire generation and class out of Jackson. And I believe those people are what truly makes Jackson special, and they're the heart and soul of this community. I will work tirelessly to help solve our housing crisis. I will do this by working with the private sector to come up with common sense solutions that won't require us to rely on public funds. I believe that with the right incentives and relief from development fees, the private sector will finally be able to start building housing. To me, Jackson is more than just my hometown. It's really who I am. And my husband and I want my family's 6th generation and our children to be able to have the same experiences I did growing up in this wonderful valley, in this incredible community. So that's it.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Greg Epstein, and I would first like to thank everybody for supporting me through the primary, and I'd like to keep that momentum running through the general election. I grew up in Jacksonville as well. I was born here in 1971. My mother was a school teacher for 42 years in the Teton County School District. My father still owns a small construction business here in Teton County as well. Then I met my wife in Teton County, and I have many, many good friends who also I've met and have become good friends with or grew up with as I spent time here. And so this place really, really is my home. It's the place where I've learned how to ski, I've learned how to fish, I've learned how to enjoy the outdoors. I've learned how special this community really is. A couple years ago, I got caught in a pretty extraordinary avalanche and got really dinged up and really lucky to actually be standing here. But what was amazing is through that experience, the amount of people that reached out to me and just checked in, showed up and brought Mira and I dinner, came in and just visited, anything for months. And that just really resonated with me. It just really made me know that there are a lot of people in this community who are really amazing and are willing to spend the time with people that they may not even know that well. And that was really the start of the impetus for me to want to run for local government. And here I am now, and I feel like I've got some pretty specific ideas on where we need to head. And it really is about a certain set of priorities that we need to stick to. I feel like in the last handful of years, we've kind of had a lot of shiny balls getting thrown at the local government and not just stayed focused on our priorities. And our priorities have to do with public transportation, they have to do with traffic, they have to do with stable housing solutions, and they have to do with our conservation, our wild and natural resources, and it also has to do with how we're going to fund these things. So I really would appreciate your vote this November 8th, and also please remember that there's early voting now, so if you're going to be out of town in these next couple of weeks until November 8th, please vote for Greg Epstein.
Hi, I'm Natalie Macker, and it has been a privilege and honor to serve as one of your commissioners over the last year. And I have to say it's been perhaps one of the longest, shortest years of my life. And I am proud of a lot of the work that we've accomplished, but we really have a lot more to do. Like a lot of you, I am a working family. I was raised by a single mom who worked full-time. And my husband and I know very well the juggling act of a mortgage and a daycare bill, balancing work time and family time, and doing all of that while trying to save a little bit of money for our future. A year ago, I stood up and said yes to serving our community because I think this is a voice that needs to be at the table. For me, a community without working families isn't a community, and I know that's not the Teton County I want, and I don't think that's the Teton County that you want either. I also know, and I'm going to be blunt here, that we're going to move forward not by just sitting around and pointing out what's wrong, but by coming together and working together to say yes to the kind of community that we want to build. I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, East Tennessee, at the base of the Smoky Mountain National Park. And during my time there, and since I've left, I have seen one of the most beautiful areas of our country be decimated by strip malls and box stores and pollution. The Smoky Mountain National Park is the most polluted park in the country. Huge swaths of agricultural land have been divided into cookie-cutter neighborhoods, and a suburban sprawl has taken over. We cannot let that happen in Teton County. The way that we do that is by continuing to build the community that we came together and agreed on in our comprehensive plan. This means working on affordable housing in our complete neighborhoods so that we can preserve our open space. It means getting more people on buses and bikes and walking around so that we aren't expanding our highways limitlessly. And it means making sure that we have funding for our social services, especially mental health programs and youth programs, and that we continue to support our older generation so that people can be born here, live here, work here, and retire here. This is the Teton County that I want to raise my son in, and this is the Teton County I want to give to the next generation. I have an on-the-job record that reflects our shared values, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to create a community that works for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. My name's Trey Davis, and I'm running on the Republican ticket for County Commissioner. I'm married to Audrey Cohen Davis, the town attorney. I have two beautiful kids, Jordan Davis, 11, Hudson Davis, 7, who are both very involved, and they couldn't be here today because they're both in soccer today. But they're also very involved in hockey. They love utilizing everything that Teton County provides for them. I was raised a 4th generation sawmill kid, grew up in the sawmills in multiple states. Started working in the sawmills when I was 11 years old. Probably should have had the easiest job, but my father made sure I had the hardest job. Always did. But it taught me something, that nothing's free, and hard work, is something to be proud of. I've served on the board of Trout Unlimited. I've also been a sponsor for Children's Learning Center for multiple years. It's something I believe in. Both of my kids have gone through Children's Learning Center. Great program. Something I definitely believe in. My wife's on the board there. Before moving to Teton County almost 16 years ago, I was executive chef of the Arizona Biltmore Resort and Spa. I had a $40 million budget, so I know what comes with a large budget, and I also know how to be accountable because my job depended on it. I was the one that was going to go before anybody else if I didn't take care of what had to be done. Before that, I was at the Phoenician Resort and Spa as a number 2 person with 150 employees directly underneath me. So you have to figure out how to deal with different personalities constantly and how to work with them, get things done. You have to know how to motivate people to get things done. I feel like if I am elected, it would be a great opportunity to get to work with the people of Teton County and also the people who work for Teton County and get to experience the things that come with it. I have been owner of Sweetwater Restaurant for 15 years, downtown Jackson. I know what comes with being a business owner. I know the struggles that come with being a business owner. In the 15 years, I will say this has been one of the best summers financially, but also one of the hardest summers for me personally because of the employee situation. I was always at least 3 or 4 people down through the whole summer, and when the kids went back to school, college kids and high school kids, I would say I went about 8 or 9 people down, and with still 4 to 5 weeks to go, and just today did I see the business start to tail off. It's been brutal, and a lot of my friends are business owners in town, and I see what they're going through. I mean, we talk every day. As they walk by the restaurant, they see me. Hey, Trey, what's going on? The reason I want to do it is I want to help with future things like transportation, housing, alternate modes of transportation, anything like that that I can help with. I'm doing it because not only for myself and my family do I want to make a difference, I want to make a difference for my friends, my employees, and my fellow employers in town. I mean, it's a struggle daily. Everybody, anything to the art studios are having problems. I mean, my friends, that come in and have lunch who become friends of mine, I hear it daily and they want to hear what I have to say. Especially now that they know that I'm running for office, they want to know what I have to say. I want to help. I want to do it to help with the issues, not just small business issues and employee issues, but all the issues. I feel like I know a lot of what's going on just by owning a business in town. And if you vote for me, I'll do my best and I'll listen to what you have to say and make a decision based on that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Trey. In times past, I think lots of people in the community, maybe even the county commission, has viewed Teton Village as just a resort. But now we are growing, and we're probably the only true complete community outside of the town of Jackson. And by that I mean it's year-round residence, high quality workforce housing, lots of kids on the school bus in the morning, successful traffic management, parents getting together for a coffee clutch after they put the kids off to school to talk about issues of the community. Meanwhile, for those of us that provide services here, we can go from 0 to 60 in a matter of a couple of weeks, from 250 people in early December to 5,000 people by the end of December, meaning that managing scale is a pretty complicated problem for those of us in the building. So I'd like to ask this question and start with you, Greg, but as a commissioner, what would you do to help strengthen Teton Village as a unique resort community and a complete neighborhood at the same time?
I guess I'm going to stand again. So I definitely believe that Teton Village is a large part of Teton County. First of all, it brings in a significant amount of revenue to Teton County, which helps with our general fund. Second of all, it's a great experience for locals and visitors alike to be able to come out into such an amazing place and have such an amazing outdoor experience, whether you're skiing or mountain biking or hiking or visiting our national parks. So I think moving forward, we need to just focus on the connectivity of Teton Village to Jackson Hole. And while we've done a pretty good job with Start Bus and having some affordable housing here in Teton Village, I believe we can do better. One way I think we can do better is we can start talking about Stilson Ranch again as a place for a park and ride, a transit center, potentially put a daycare center or something like that there. But we need to at least start having the conversation with the county and with the representatives of Teton Village. It's very important. And number two, we need to look at Teton Village and what it means to be a complete neighborhood. While they have a lot of amenities here, there's a couple of small things they're missing. It'd be really nice for people who do live here year-round, and then also the visitors to have some sort of small grocery store or something like that, so that we're, again, reducing the number of cars, the amount of traffic on our roads. They can just ride their bike or walk to a local grocery store. I think that's probably something that's the most important. And just understanding as we start to build out potentially a little bit more affordable housing here, again, how that connectivity is going to work for whether they live in town and need to have transportation or get to town and whatnot. And again, right now with the START bus coming to the village, it works pretty well, but we also need to look at that plan countywide. I live in Melody Ranch. There's no way I could get to the Teton Village solely by public transportation. So anyway, that's my priorities with Teton Village.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think a big thing that we have to think about when we look at Teton Village is our ability to adapt over time. So we know that people that choose to live here have chosen to live in a resort community, but it's a community also. And I think that is one of the things I've observed in my time as things have changed over time is more diversity in the people that are living here, which actually makes it, I think, a lot easier to do some of the things that we want to do to make this a community. That means what can we do to reduce trips on the road? That's both transit and allowing services here and allowing the adaptation to get what we need. I also think that, I love Teton Village not only because of the revenue that it helps give the county, but also because it's a different type of experience. We can come to Teton County for more than just one thing, and I think that's what helps us over time, and that will continue to evolve, and how Teton Village evolves over time is something that can benefit us all, and the people that live here really have the choice to define what that is. So my hope and my approach that I would like to take as we think about Teton Village today and over the next 20 years is how do we continue to adapt and evolve and create the community that the residents that are here want, and that also serves the visitors that help fuel our economy.
Well, I believe that Teton Village is a huge part of Teton County, not only because it pours taxes into the economy, it also is a big draw here. Other than those parks out there, I mean, when people hear Jackson Hole, they go, oh, that's where that big red box is. It is. It's the big red box that goes up the hill, and people come here just for that. It's a huge draw. And when I first moved here 16 years ago, it was just almost a winter only spot. Now it's not only a winter spot, it's a summer spot. All kind of stuff going on, from golf to frisbee golf, mountain biking, hiking. I mean, it's a huge draw for people to get them here. I agree with Greg. More services here to a point. I don't want to overblow it, but to keep people from having to commute in and out of town would be a huge thing. I mean, I get off of work and I go to Smith's and go home. I live in Rafter J. It's kind of, thinking about it as if you lived out here, you have to work to go get stuff. It's just not readily available right here. There's some great restaurants, great hotels, but everything that I take for granted does not exist out here. Transportation is a huge issue. The START bus is a great start, but it's non-existent almost in the summer. I was unaware I talked to Melissa a couple months ago that in the summer you actually have to call and make an appointment to get a ride from Stilson, which I was blown away by that. I mean, Stilson is a great opportunity for not just the village, but the county, everybody. And the biggest thing is, when I talk about services, why can't we get a place for y'all to vote out here? I mean, why do you got to go all the way to town? I think that'd be a great start. Thank you.
When I was a kid, I came out to Teton Village maybe 3 times a summer. The antique show for cars and furniture, and to come out to the Mangy Moose to have chocolate mousse and the salad bar. And that was pretty much it. And that was maybe once a summer on a special occasion. Since then, I mean, the Teton Village is thriving in the summer. I'm out here way more mountain biking and coming to meet friends, coming to concerts, doing outdoor yoga. And I think anything we can do to help facilitate Teton Village to become a year-round place for people to live, reside, play, it can only better our community, and it can only be good for the rest of us. I think, just to kind of echo what my fellow running mates here have said, encouraging some sort of grocery store to come out here, I think would be great. I have some buddies that live out here, and they love riding the bus, but it doesn't come out a whole lot, and they need to go to the grocery store, so they end up driving. And if we can reduce cars on the road by having a grocery store out here, I think that'd be great. Restaurants such as Teton Thai and some other restaurants that are more affordable for the year-round residents. There's incredible food out in the village, but that's not something that people can afford on a weekly basis. Again, Start Bus services. The Teton Village Association and the village does a great job about getting Start buses out here in the winter. I ride it all winter long coming to and from the village, but I don't ride it at all in the summer. So getting more Start bus services out here and to Stilson, and maybe some sort of park and ride in the summer to get people out here, I think that could be a huge help to Teton Village.
Thank you. Well, the next question is a little bit one-off about the complete community and more about the commercial activities here. You cannot have run into Melissa Turley anytime in the last 6 weeks without being given one of these cards, which is very persuasive because it talks about the economic benefit that the village provides to the rest of the community. If you'll bear with me for a second, about $3.2 million a year in tax revenues to Teton County, $1.4 million to the town of Jackson, $1.3 million in SPET projects per year, in addition to the $1.8 to date directly to fund START. And I know there's transfer fees that help on pathways and open space, all driven by commercial activities here. So my question here is, what should and can the county do to better support Teton Village so that it remains competitive as a top destination ski resort with a lot of competition throughout the rest of the United States? And Natalie, would you go first on this, please?
Thank you. The village does a good job of taking care of itself. Your service districts do a good job, and I think part of our job is to be a good partner, but let you do what you do best, which is run really great programs, have really great recreational opportunities, and run a killer ski resort. So part of it isn't that we could or should do anything other than help you do what you do best, and that is being a good partner, communicating, and allowing each other to be creative and bring creative solutions to the tables to whatever comes up. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. What can the county do to help? Well, the county needs to do a lot to help the village. I mean, without the village, we don't have near as many tourists coming and spending that tax dollar. And let me tell you, if you grew up where I'm from, to see the schools that we have, the synthetic fields that we have, the soccer stuff that we have, hockey stuff that we have. I mean, I played in a football helmet that should have been illegal. We didn't have any of that stuff. I mean, we had nothing where I grew up. And to see what we have here, a lot of that is provided by the tax money that comes from this village and is funneled into the county. I mean, the first thing that we can do is talk, because right now, the county and the village have a non-existent relationship. It's non-existent. They don't talk. There's a rift there, and I said it last time I was here. Whether or not I agree with everything that the village or Mr. Jerry or Miss Melissa says, I'm going to at least talk to them. I mean, I don't see a reason why they're not talking. We don't have to agree on everything, but if we don't talk about it, nothing's going to get done. So why can't we talk about it and discuss stuff like Stilson Ranch? Mr. Jerry and Melissa, the last time I was here, talked to me about some great ideas for Stilson. I'm not a county commissioner yet, so I don't know that everything entails, and I know it's not just easy to say, hey, yeah, we can do that. I know there's issues with it. But we're never even going to explore the fact, can it be done or not, because we're not even talking at this point. So if I get in, I can promise you I will make it a point to talk with the village. Even if it's just me, I will make it a point. Thank you.
I think there needs to be more collaboration and communication between the county and the village. Like Trey said, there's not a whole lot of that going on right now, and I wasn't aware of that until I sat down with Mr. Jerry. I like that. It's just great. Mr. Jerry and Melissa. But the village really wants to help, and they want to help the community. And I think a lot of people think the village and the Jacksonville Mountain Resort is in it for themselves, but they're not. They really care about the community. They care about the kids. They care about Stilson parking lot, and they are trying to work with the county to build more fields there right now. And the county's not really having it. Right now we have wait lists for kids in soccer and lacrosse, which, I mean, that's unheard of. Was unheard of when I was growing up. It makes me sad to think that there's kids that want to go play sports and they can't. We've got a lot of, good fields in this community. We should be able to put them to work. So I think just more communication and allowing Teton Village Association and Jacksonville Mountain Resort to have a seat at the table would be great. I mean, they've reduced traffic. They have proven numbers of reducing traffic on the village road in the winter with their park and ride program. We should learn from them as a town and county and learn how to get cars off the roads and how to get people on START buses. We should listen to them. We should work with them to come up with solutions for the whole community.
Thank you, Nikki. Well, I'm sorry.
It'll be an easy out. I think we should just throw in more Teton Gravity Research premieres. That's it. No. This is just wild.
Shameless plug.
Anyway, I think the first thing is we need to just have the conversation. Let's open the doors again. Let's talk with representatives from Teton Village, TVA, Jacksonville Mountain Resort, but we need to open up that conversation again. And then let's talk about Stilson. Let's talk about what are the possibilities with Stilson. There's tons of opportunity there. We just need to actually have a conversation about it. I think there's other things we could look at. Potentially some sort of public transportation from the airport. Let's make it as simple as possible for the tourists to jump off the plane, get in a bus or whatever, and boom, they're here. And it's seamless. Some other things I think we could expand this out also, not just to the village, but how about Alta? How about south of town in Hoback? I think we need to have that conversation with a bunch of the different areas in Teton County as well. We just really need to start to just open up that conversation again and listen to the people who live in these different parts of Teton County and come up with some viable solutions.
Thank you, Trey.
Thanks, Greg.
You all kind of ran over the top of my next question, which was transportation. And I wondered if I could open it back up again and talk about sort of not only Stilson and Park and Ride for the summer, which some of you alluded to, and if those that haven't, it'd be probably helpful if you wouldn't mind commenting on it in this next round. But just in general, any sort of thoughts about reducing traffic on 22 and 390 and what the commission ought to be doing, and any additional thoughts about Stilson and some of the Park and Ride would be great. Great.
I believe that we definitely need to work on with the START director and try to get more frequent stops. As somebody who has servers leaving at all times of the day from the restaurant, cooks leaving all times of the day, they are more likely to bring their own car because they don't want to wait for 30 minutes. And most of them have second and third jobs, so they won't get in that car, go home and get an hour's worth of rest so they can go to their next job or come back and work for me again. Also, I live in Rafter J, and we were speaking of Melody earlier. no buses go to Rafter J, and myself and my wife both drive to work. I would be a fool to tell you that if a bus system started coming to Rafter J, that both of us are not going to take our cars anymore. We have 2 kids who are in soccer, hockey, everything imaginable. But I guarantee you we could at least eliminate 1 car. I think that needs to happen. Melody as well, all the way down, especially now that we're going to have a school in the Hoback Nation or in Hog Island, down there. And whether we like it or not, Alpine is part of our community, especially for our employees. Buses don't go down there frequent enough. And here's the thing, in town, I would say 50-60% of all employees are working for food and beverage in some sort, in some capacity. A lot of those people don't get off work. A lot of my guys don't get off work. They don't get out there until 11:30. Guess what? If you live in Alpine, you might not have a bus certain times of the year. And I also know if you're in the food and beverage industry, you're probably, if you don't have kids and a wife, you're probably going to want to go out and have a few cocktails to unwind. I would love to see a bus be able to go to certain places late night. I know economically we have to look and decide how we're going to do that, but I think we have to figure out a way if we're going to get cars off the road, especially there's already a ton of cars coming from Alpine. As I turn out of Rafter J in the mornings, I mean, it's like you could get just murdered out there by cars if you're not careful. So we have to figure out a way to get more stops and more buses going to help employers and employees. It would help both out. So the village has done a great job of kind of showing us how to do things. I don't know why we can't follow it as a county and do the same. It would benefit everybody, in my opinion. Thank you.
Stilson right now is the only park and ride program in all of Teton County, and they have a proven track record and proven success. Like I said earlier, we can learn from that and try and expand that program to the county. We're not going to get the same kind of success that they have right off the bat, especially in the summer. Not everyone's going to the one place. I mean, the winter is pretty easy. Everyone's going to Teton Village. They're going to ski, so it's easier to do it that way. But I would like to see us pilot a program for people coming from the village, coming from the West Bank, coming from over the hill to park and ride. If we can get 20 people to park at Stilson, ride the bus into town, that's 20 cars off the road, and that'll make a huge difference. I don't think there's one solution to the traffic problem. I think it's going to take a lot of time. People in this community are used to driving their cars and hopping in whenever they want, being able to park pretty close whenever they want. So it's going to take a lot of time to get rid of those routines and habits. I lived in San Francisco for 6 years, and it took a long time for me to get used to riding a bus constantly. It was pretty frustrating and annoying, but those days that I would decide to drive, I was pretty upset and wish I had taken the bus. So it's going to take people getting annoyed with the traffic and eventually changing their habits to become part of the solution. And it's going to take each of us, planning our trips to the grocery store or when we're leaving work or going to work, if you have some flexibility to change that or decide to ride the bus. I'd like to open the dialogue, open the conversation more with the Teton Village Association and the village to try and come up with more solutions to the traffic issues around our community.
So yesterday I went to a presentation with Bob Hammond, who is the Wyoming State, he's the YDAT engineer representative for Teton County, Sean O'Malley, who's the one of the local engineers, and Bob McLaren. And they spoke a little bit about roundabouts and some things like that for possible traffic mitigation solutions, 22 and 390 being one of those. The problem with that is that we're not really even on the slate till 2022 with the state of Wyoming. So that leaves us right now 6 years of traffic like we've been having. I mean, tonight when I drove in from Wilson to here, the backup of traffic on 390 was ridiculous. So what's going to have to give is the number of cars on the road. And how are we going to do that? We're going to have to look at public transportation solutions. What do those look like? Well, again, we've talked a lot about Stilson. Probably a park and ride situation somewhere in town, maybe south of town a little bit. We really are going to need to expand the START service regionally and locally, and we need to make it easy, efficient, and convenient, or people will not use it. So let me say that again. Easy, efficient, and convenient. So I think if we can start there, we can start to chip away and get some cars off the road and maybe alleviate some of our traffic problems.
Thank you.
As we've kind of all alluded to, Teton Village absolutely has hit it out of the park with the traffic demand management program that was put in place. And I think it's a model for our community, it's a model for our region, it's a model for our state. Our community overall has great success with traffic measures. Some of you may have seen the recent article about YDOT lowering speed limits in other areas of the state that are migration corridors based off of the success that Teton County has had with reducing animal deaths from vehicle collisions. So I agree, I think our community really buys into how are we leaders in what we're trying to do. For me, traffic, a lot of it seems to be prioritizing our intersections, and that has to do with our relationship with YDOT. We funded some traffic modeling so that we can make good decisions about the network overall, and really starting to think about our roads and our transportation system as a network beyond just how we move people from Stilson to the village or from the town to Stilson, but what is that overall regional network? I am very committed to working with TVA and with other partners to figure out how we can pilot a transit program in the park so that when we have visitors coming here, how do we keep them from having to drive their car everywhere they go? I think that is a population that if we could incentivize them and get them in the right place where we want them to be, it would improve things for everyone, including the visitors. But we also have to be realistic that all those things cost money, and it is important to me that as a county and as a community, we keep policies that make financial sense and that are fiscally responsible. And I live at the Hoback Junction. I would love to have a bus that fit my schedule and my daycare schedule. And I think we can get there and make improvements, but I think we just have to be careful that we don't want to drive empty buses around. So it's finding those right places to put it and tapping into those populations that we know we can get on the bus and finding the right partners to do so.
Great, thank you. Let me ask one more question, and then we'll wrap it up for this formal session. Al Simpson, who I know a lot of you know, has a statement I've always taken to heart. He said everything in Wyoming is politics, except politics and it's personal. And I can imagine, the demand on your time if elected, where you're going to be confronted 24/7 with people concerned about budgets, housing, transportation, public safety, community character. You're going to be running into people everywhere you go. And with that in mind, what kind of and this is advice back to the audience, what kind of operating rhythm would you like to see between the commission and Teton Village in terms of communications, constructive dialogue? What would be your advice back to the people in this room that care deeply about Teton Village? Nikki, why don't you start again?
I'm going to sound like a broken record. They need a seat at the table. They need to, be involved in stakeholder groups that are formed for, the comprehensive plan or, creating the LDRs and different things like that. Teton Village is a huge part of this community. My dad's in here, and he grew up in Jackson as well. And there was, really no economy in the winter when he was growing up at all. Town shut down. I think there was one restaurant on the town square that stayed open and maybe one hotel, and that was it. Everyone else just closed down. So Teton Village is a huge part of our community, and they put us on the map. And I'd like to see them more involved in, these stakeholder groups, having a voice, giving opinions. And I think they do a good job of that. I think they do a really good job of that. They're just not always heard or listened to. And I think sometimes Teton Village or Jacksonville Mountain Resort is kind of viewed as the big bad boogeyman, and they're not part of Jackson, and they really are. And they're a huge employer in this town. They give a lot to this community. They house their employees, a ton of their employees. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from them. They have this little microcosm here, and they've, made a lot of decisions and plans and trialed and errored different things. And again, there's a lot to learn from them, and I'd be willing to listen. I've enjoyed talking to Mr. Jerry and Melissa about a lot of the ongoings in the village that I didn't necessarily know about. And I, probably just been concerned with some of the other things on the southern end of the county, and, kind of always thought the village is great. They're doing fine. They're on their own. Like, they don't really need our help, and, they do, and they need a seat at the table. And I think that's the best thing we can do to open up the dialogue and make the relationship good between the county and the village.
Let's just get the conversation started. I mean, that's where we really need to, let's just get it going. Let's start to figure out what are the problems, what are the pain points, how can the county be part of the solution? And then from there, we can kind of figure out what is that going to take? Is it going to take a meeting a week for a little while just to get through it? Is it going to take a meeting a month? Is it going to, I don't know. But I think if there's a problem or problems that need to be taken care of, it's going to definitely take some brain power, and it's going to take people's time, and we're just going to have to put that time towards solutions. So I don't really have much more to say, but let's just get the conversation started so we can get going.
For people in this room who aren't already serving on one of the Teton Village special districts, there are other county boards for you to be involved in. For those of you here before, I said this before, but you know how to do things well out here, and we have some boards in the county that could probably use some of your help. So if you want to get engaged, I think being able to share your experiences and make those connections is great. My favorite part about this job is talking to people like this. It's why I like doing this. I think we get to better solutions when we share our ideas and have open, honest communication. And so I want to continue to do that. I'm happy to schedule regular meetings if that's what's being asked for, and move things forward. I think it's what's in the best interest of each part of our community, benefits our community overall because we become healthy, and a stable economy is obviously a goal that we all share because it keeps us sleeping soundly at night. And if we really wanted to give the town a run for its money, Teton Village could always incorporate, ha ha ha. But it's tumultuous over there right now. I thought that would surprise some people. But I think it's conversations like this. I love coming out here. I'm not a skier, and so I come out here more in the summer, and I think it is relationship building at the individual level all the way up into the institutional and organizational level that creates success across the board.
As I said earlier, we just got to talk some. I've known Melissa for quite a while. Just got to know Mr. Jerry pretty recently. Hey, I'm from the South. My mother would slap me if I didn't say Mr. or Mrs. But just got to know him. And, I used to think the same thing, that the village was out for itself. And I learned actually way before I met Mr. Jerry that that's not the case. Mark Barron had a long talk with me and explained a lot of things to me and made it clear. This has been many years ago when I started participating in JHR. And you know what? After I got to know Mr. Jerry, he's not such a bad guy. So that's the biggest thing is talking, obviously. But if somebody other than Jerry or Melissa wants to talk to me and has issues, I want you to be able to call me. I might not always answer my phone because I do run a business, and there are a couple hours here and a couple hours there where I am my guest and my employees are my most important things. I have to take care of them. But any other time you can call me. I don't sleep much. I think my father kind of instilled that in me. I don't go to bed early, and I wake up. I was up this morning at 4 a.m. So I don't sleep much. So you can call me at any time. But even better, just schedule a meeting with me. Come to Sweetwater, have lunch, and I'll sit down with you and speak with you there. That's even better for me. It helps me out with my business, and I get to see what you're doing. So talking, that's the key. We just got to talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, this is the end of the formal question. I'll give a big round of applause to you guys for showing up. We have food.